evidently, this film was made back in 2011, and it just wasn't released into theaters until now. And after seeing it, yeah, I can certainly see why that is.
Science fiction, double feature, Dr. X will build a creature. See androids playing, biogenic, and Frankenstein, pumping planet. At the late night double feature picture show.
Welcome back to the 13 Films of Halloween. I'm Adam J. Earlier this year, I remember being in the theater and seeing a trailer for an independent horror film called You're Next. The trailer wasn't anything special. In fact, it made the film look like a low-rent version of The Strangers, which is pretty pathetic considering how boring The Strangers was. But upon doing research on the film, I came to find out that it was growing in popularity. It was made in 2011, was showed at film festivals to a lot of praise, and was even gaining a cult following. Hell, it even has a 75% approval rating on Rotten Tomatoes. So I actually set my expectations a little higher going into this. And while I originally thought I was just gonna get a low-rent version of The Strangers, what I got was a high-rent version of The Strangers. Less boring, but almost every bit as stupid. And predictable. And bad. Now, to be fair, the movie did have a pretty strong opening scene that did grab my attention. However, it never topped that opening scene once in the hour and a half that followed. All you really need to know going into this film is the following. A family is attacked at a home get-together by some random nothings in animal masks before any of them are able to develop personalities that would make us care about them. These characters are some of the most lifeless, bland, boring, one-dimensional cardboard cutouts I've ever seen. Now, if you recall in my review for Slumdog Millionaire, which is, again, a terrible fucking movie, I mentioned that the characters in that film weren't really characters and that all their emotions were just simple parodies of emotions. Yeah, it's the same damn thing here. These characters have the most basic, stock, and boring traits that simulate personalities without actually having them develop personalities. This guy is a wimp because he stutters over his voice a few times. This guy is a dick because, well, he acts like a dick. This woman just doesn't care because she barely speaks and doesn't do anything of value. And, yeah, that's pretty much how it is with most of the other characters. No personalities, no characters, no good. Now, to be fair, there is one likable character in this whole movie. And that is Erin, played by Sharni Vinson. And, to be honest, she's fucking awesome. She was the only one in this entire movie who actually acted like she gave a shit, and she is in turn the only one in the film given any real character traits or personality. I'm sorry, but in a movie filled with upwards of about 15 or so people being slaughtered, they needed to do much better than that. But anyway, besides actually being a character with a real personality, Erin is actually quite the badass, and Sharni Vinson is truly able to shine in the film's third act. It basically comes down to a kill-or-be-killed scenario, where she has to set traps for the people trying to kill her, outmaneuver them at every turn, and eventually kill them. To be honest, she reminded me a lot of Ripley at the end of the first Alien movie. She's all alone, something's trying to kill her, and she's forced to go all badass in order to save her own life. Now, I hate making that connection, I really do, because I didn't like this movie, and Alien is my favorite horror film of all time, so to actually compare this character to Ripley, that should tell you something about how fucking enjoyable she was. It worked in the third act of You're Next because we had the only likable character fighting for her survival. Sharni Vinson, you are awesome. Thank you for giving me a great character in a terrible movie. I just wish it could have been in a better one. So what else didn't I like in this film? Well, let's just focus on the title, You're Next. They call it You're Next because when some of the people in this movie are killed, the killers write You're Next on the wall in their blood. Why? Because the title of this damn film, I guess, requires them to. It has no real meaning in the film. It's just there, and by the end, it doesn't make any sense. Okay, I'm not gonna recommend this movie, obviously, so I'm just gonna spoil it for you. The killers are all hired assassins by the brothers in the family that were supposed to kill the rest of the family in order for the brothers to collect an inheritance. Okay, so if they're professionals, why would they even bother to write You're Next on the fucking wall? What's the purpose of it? It's just useless. Highly trained assassins my ass, these guys are about as tactical as the blue camo soldiers from the Street Fighter movie. Not to mention, half the time you have to wonder how they were even able to do this. For example, after the daughter is killed, the mother goes up to her room to lie down and cry while the rest of the family just goes downstairs and leaves her all alone because they're assholes. I don't know. Ask the screenwriter. Anyway, one of the killers is under the mother's bed. He emerges, she screams, and immediately everyone comes running up the stairs. And when they get to the room, the mother is dead, and You're Next is written on the wall in her blood. So let me get this straight, to make sure I got this down. You want me to believe that in the span of 5 seconds, this guy was not only able to slaughter this woman, he was able, in the span of 5 seconds, to drain some of her blood, most of her fucking blood anyway, and write You're Next on the wall with her blood in huge ass fucking letters. In 5 seconds. That's what you wanted to say to me. 5 seconds! No! There's suspension of disbelief, and then there's this! Another big problem with this film was its massive predictability. I could see every twist in this movie coming a mile away. It was incredibly easy to deduce for the most part, and considering how they tried to build up sort of a mystery in the second act, just makes it worse. There are also many scenes that manage to come off as uncomfortable and tasteless. One, for example, involves a goth bimbo I don't care about wanting one of the brothers to fuck her on his mother's corpse.
Jesus.
Whoever wrote this, please seek medical help. Because, no. Just no. Overall, I didn't like this movie. It has a strong opening scene, one strong character, and an interesting climax involving this character laying down some well-deserved badassery on her attackers, but aside from that, the rest of the movie is bland, poorly acted, poorly shot, and just an overall dumb experience. I'll give it some credit for its awesome Ripley-esque character, but that's about the only thing keeping this movie from getting an F. In the end, I'm giving You're Next a D+. Not worth it, guys. Not worth it.
Oh, it's such a perfect day. I'm glad I spent it with you. Oh, such a perfect day. You just keep me hanging on. You just keep me
Get your sticking paws off me, you damn dirty ape! Geek Vision.